of the 5th edition. Join our various gaming groups as we play the 5th edition of Dungeons & Dragons. And maybe just hang out and chat about gaming in general. Sit back and enjoy the show.
Hi, this is Kelly, aka Trixie from Ragnarok and Roll, assigned to Ragnarok Story, and Tilda Wimblewick from D&D Journey of the 5th Edition. First off, I would just like to say thank you to everyone for listening to our varied adventures, as well as for rating us on iTunes and RPGpodcast.com. If you haven't rated us yet, we would greatly appreciate it if you could. And if you're looking for more ways to support our efforts, we are now on Patreon, a great site where you can help us continue making more podcasts, as well as some special surprises for our patrons. If you can, please look us up at www.patreon.com/cppn. Every little bit helps. And again, thank you for listening.
Hey guys, Jim here.
And Kenny.
It is day 7 of RPGaDay 2022.
Why, so it is.
And the prompt for today is Systems Sunday. Systems Sunday. Describe a cool part of a system that you love. Now, this is a huge, huge prompt. So we're going to limit it to one system and thing so we don't digress too late.
Okay.
And by the way, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt, but every Sunday has a cool Sunday something. Just want to say that.
You just like saying it.
Sunday. Okay, you can go now.
Okay. All right. Well, of course, I love the advantage system with 5th edition. But specifically the personality traits, the background that allows you to play upon and earn advantage. That's one of my favorite things. So where you have to pick the 4, the personality trait, flaws, bonds, that type of stuff, and create your character, and then you play to those. And when you play to those, it gives you advantage that you can employ at other times during the game.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree. It is a beautiful system, reiterating to the players the reward for role playing, ROLE playing, as opposed to ROLL playing. It literally gives you a this for that mechanic. You know, there is a quid pro quo for playing in character, which is great.
Mm-hmm. So that's the one I would choose for.
That's great.
Sunday.
And as a GM, I gotta say, I love on people's faces when they get excited and they point to their character sheet. And I like protecting my friends because it is adorable that players are playing in character, which is really always great when they remember their characters, not just stats on a paper, but a character. I mean, and that really does make the immersive gaming more immersive in follow through because consistency. So that makes, I am so glad when they added that to the system with a reward because it guarantees people do it, It's not just, like in, Fate's got the similar system where you can reward or punish for aspects, which I'm still a fan of too. I mean, there should totally be almost where the GM can bribe you to do this, but that's kind of what the GM does. They set up the system and the setting to make you cash in to get the reward. And if your GM forgets, like I always tell my own table, because I don't have brain space for, 5 times 4, 20 different background traits between my 5 players, because they have their background, the ideal, the flaw, the bond, Your GM can't remember all of those. So I have my players do the tap on their character sheet like you're doubling down in poker, or, totally say it again so everyone knows you're milking that experience cow. Boo. Just remember, guys, don't abuse it. Use it,
Yeah, but the GM says, no, come on. You can't. No, we're not going to. you have final say whether it qualifies.
Mm-hmm. And I know in some games, some GMs are just like, you can earn it once per session. I mean, honestly, I'm really willy-nilly willing to let you do it because you're playing a character, and I've never seen advantage disadvantage break a setting because I can totally use it just by setting up advantageous or disadvantage situations, and many people cash in just to negate the disadvantage.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those of it's up to the player and the GM to use it.
Yeah, and you can't, if you, like, we have the rule that, like, oh, okay, I did this action, I got advantage, I can't use it right then. You have to wait till your next turn. It's not like, oh, well, I'm going to apply it to this, because otherwise you would just be able to spend it constantly depending on the situation. And that helps limit the abuse of it, I think.
Yeah, because then you're meta breaking it, saying, oh, so I can do the thing to earn the thing to spend the thing right then and there, and I'll totally do it again a second later. It's like, nah, you're breaking the system now. Now you're being abusive, and nobody should be abused.
No.
And that includes your GM. Don't abuse your GM.
Oh.
So for me, I'm going to go with a completely different RPG to be abusive and counterproductive. I'm going to go with the Genesis/Star Wars system. The cool part of the system that I love the most is the fact that the RPG system gives players active player agency. In regards to when you roll your dice, you have the options with the results to succeed or fail, and have advantage or disadvantage, or despair and triumph. And the nice thing is, when your player rolls, they can have advantage, and they can pick what extra boost they have happen. So it lets your players want to get inventive and actually come up with things.
Mm-hmm. But one thing I like is that some people, they don't like to be put on the spot, or they're like, what, you then, or other players can offer suggestions to use how they want to use those advantages.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes it, you don't necessarily have to like come up with some amazing thing yourself. You can work as a team to do it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, great example, like tonight's Star Wars game. Our group actually split the party because because it's an Imperial game, so they're all Imperial commandos and a Hand of the Emperor. Well, the Hand of the Emperor had this great idea last session, split from the party, ended up finding out that there's a process that these people kidnap people to make sure they're actually wanting to not be Imperial spies, want to be rebels, and he got captured, and the party got separated. So our commanding officer was talking to a local wise man for a local town in this area, who's telling him all about how the local Moff is not got the Empire in its best interests. And he rolled a triumph. He succeeded in not using charm. Earlier he used charm, and the guy's like all falling for it, schmoozy, old Republic buddies, blah, 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 and used leadership to demand answers. Now, I was totally going to say he was going to tell you Mandalorians are hiding under the city. You take the well, you can get right to them, but he cut me off. And instead, for his triumph, said, I think our missing party member's comm turns on. And we get to hear a message to let us know, A, he's in trouble because, by the way, he didn't leave any message behind when he went off on the solo mission. He didn't leave any way for the group to find him afterwards. So I had already, because he's basically being interrogated down in the sewers by some Mandalorians, making sure he's not an Imperial agent. And I already told them, during our flashbacks, because we're flashing from him to them, and that he was stripped of all his gear. He woke up handcuffed to a table because when they had him in this sleeping pod, he faked being asleep, and they totally have his biometrics on the monitor showing he's awake. So they basically had their guns ready, opened the pod, and kept shooting him with stun bolts.
Oh, lovely.
Because the idea is you're not supposed to know where you're being taken to. So you're not allowed to be awake for the trip. Well, immediately, the people having his gear get caught accidentally hitting the button on his ear communicator. And they hear them discussing that they're underground interrogating the new edition. And the little more communications was slipped while they were handling his earbud. So immediately the group now knows that he's in trouble. And then, of course, all hell broke loose because I was doing a combat counter of how many threats until the Mandalorians came to attack the Imperials.
Okay, then.
Yeah, bad things happened, including our co-pilot getting hit with a flamethrower.
Ow.
It was ugly. But the mechanic I love is in Star Wars, Fantasy Flight games, Genesis system, is players get to spend advantage and triumph however they want. They can literally make declarations, which is nice. And when you roll 3 advantage, I will totally, as a GM, say, I've got something cool for you if you trust me. Because that way, your players, know that you're not going to screw them over and basically milk them from them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give you something that I think is cool. And boom, there's a suggestion. And the fact that, you can make declarations. I just rolled a triumph. Oh, guess what? Just as our rebels were defeated trying to get to the shield base, another group of Ewoks and rebels shows up to attack the Imperials. Thereby getting us out of the sticky situation, giving us a fair chance to fight our way free. Not that they just won the war, but they now have a fair shot at fighting their way free.
Yeah, or, we have to go outside the spaceship. Well, what do you know? I have use a story point there and cash that in, and guess what? We all have the,
You conveniently have the breathing masks to go out onto the space slug that no one knew that we had on the ship.
Exactly. And then it's great because then you can add it to your inventory for future use.
But yeah, I am a huge fan of the narrative dice and how they can be played. I mean, I've even, Eric, Eric, when we play, he has no problem throwing out suggestions for threat when bad shit happens.
He has some wonderful, crazy suggestions, and it's like, oh my God, yes, I have to see this happen.
And as player and GM, that's why I love the narrative dice, because it gives players player agency, because normally in most games, players are afraid to ask for that kind of gift, of agency. They know that they can control their character, but nothing outside their character. It's like when natural 20s come up, maybe more than just double damage or an beautifully crafted thing happens. Maybe something else happens. You totally get a new stalker. There are tons of cool system mechanics out there that you can use from different games and import into your home games.
That's true.
Look at the action point that turned into the inspiration point between 4 and 5,
Mm-hmm.
Back then it was, I cashed this in for an extra attack because that's the most bang for my buck. Or
and then it was just always the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Or the action point, drink a potion, then get back to fighting. Or if you're super cool, action point, cleric, I'm drinking the potion, casting a heal, and getting the hell out of here. Because, sometimes it's nice to keep yourself alive while saving others.
Yeah. Physician, heal thyself.
And then I'll throw another example out tonight. When a Mandalorian was really messing up one of our teammates, dude cashed in the triumph for his shot, even though it hurt the Mandalorian a little, because we all know Beskar. The triumph is he hit the controls on the jetpack, and it sent the guy flying out of the scene, basically.
I did that once.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I shot and I got a triumph. I didn't succeed, but sure enough, I said, "Oh, well, it ricochets and hits that guy's jetpack, and he goes off and crashes." Unfortunately for him, he went quite a ways away.
I mean, in both cases, he didn't go flying off, hit the slave barge, and then go sliding into the Sarlacc pit. I mean, we all know if you're using narrative dice in Return of the Jedi, that's exactly what Han did. Yep. Swinging blind and still succeeds, which, by the way, is kind of like the same thing my other guy did, because he was shooting from inside a building he fell through the roof at the guy above. Shooting blind, but rolled insanely well. Because yes, I gave him the teaser that you see the dust coming off the rafters of where the steps are happening. But you're still shooting totally blind, so if the dice say no, that's what the dice say. Because remember, that is, when we play RPGs, that is like the heart and soul mechanic, is the dice are answering our question.
Mm-hmm.
Timmy throws his turnip at the orc. Does it hit?
Well,
Natural 20. He hit him in the fucking eye and took his eye out. And that's how the story of Grump starts.
Which is really funny because, of course, inside the Magic 8-Ball is a D20.
It's true. So many people forget that. That is the magic dice in the Magic 8-Ball. So that's my coolest system mechanic is the narrative dice, which if you've never played, please hit up a GM. Even if you play online, a Roll20 does have a really good script for using the narrative dice. It even does the math for you.
Yeah,
just like the dice app.
Mm-hmm.
And if you play any of the Genesis settings, Edge Studios now has the dice app for free on their website. It used to be for charge, but now it's for free. But that's just the Genesis dice. The Star Wars app was really cool in that you got Star Wars dice, you got the Armada dice, you got the X-Wing dice for the mini games, as well as your standard D&D dice set. Or I think, as most of the companies are calling it, the standard polyhedron game dice. Nobody wants to give it Dungeons and Dragons credit.
Well, it's not like they didn't come up with the polyhedral. It's, but they're the ones that kind of made it,
Yep. And of course, I think we should both throw out honorable mention to the polyhedral dice system. Because that is like the big heart and soul of RPGs for the most part.
Yes. Actually, that's, me, and you know how much I love dice.
Yep, that's the honorable mention, because if it wasn't for that system, all the ones that evolved from the D20 system wouldn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
However, there are cool companies out there like the 2D20 system that is out there, and which, again, harkens back to thank God for the first polyhedron sets, because that's how we got the D20. Polyhedral, yep. And, we've got the Free League group uses the 6D6, which is basically rolling 2D6, and it's a first number, second numbers system. And then the new 616 system, the new Marvel game is coming out with, where you're rolling 2 6-siders and a boost 6-sider. It's kind of like, kind of Savage Worldy. In that, how Savage Worlds, you have that bonus dice.
That bonus die, yeah.
You got the wild die that you always run if you're a main character. They have wild die. Like all the players and all the big bads in the game have that wild die plus whatever size die you're using. But Savage World, it is a great system. It's a beautiful system. Me personally, the 4 successes by rank of number 4 kind of bog things down, but I guess not too much. Like narrative dice bog things down because you're playing with the dice after you roll the dice, because it's good dice, bad dice, all the dice. Dice.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say that it bogs it down.
Well, at least for newer players. I mean, the older players start talking like mathematicians while they're gaming because they know what the target number is before they even get into it, which is nice.
Well, and plus, the more comfortable you are with the storytelling dice, the faster you can narrow it down to whether you succeeded and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so the Roll20 does it automatically for you, which is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
It just tells you, boom, this is what you rolled, but this is what the result is. And with the hard, actual dice in hand, the trick I always do is just, take the ones that cancel each other out, you just move them to the side, and then you can see what you're left with.
Yep, you parcel them out and say this success and this fail over here because they no longer count.
Yeah,
and
that cancel that cancel that. So we're just ignoring those, and then so I think that's an easy way to do it. And then you get to the point or where you become so comfortable, you can almost see, like right away, I know that, nope, I failed,
Yep.
but I got 3 advantages,
I didn't do what I aimed to do, but something cool's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, guys, I think that's probably a good spot for us to wrap it up. It is late in Sunday evening, and I think Kelly wants to go to bed.
Yeah, Kelly's got to get up so early in the morning.
Oh, the Mondays. It's a case of the Mondays.
Mm-hmm.
But on the plus side, we got a convention to look forward to at the end of the month.
Still working on that.
Yep. We've got RingCon and Tucson Comic-Con, and if you're going to Tucson Comic-Con, you'll see gaming at Tucson Comic-Con for RingCon, and at the hotel after Tucson Comic-Con is the RingCon stuff. And on Monday.
That stuff requires a separate.
Yep, that requires the RingCon ticket, which includes dinner each night, which is nice.
Mm-hmm. It's very nice.
Because that way we can hustle straight from the convention to the hotel, grab a quick shower and change, and get right to dinner at the con, and then start gaming.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're into the Tucson area, we got some, if you go to the RingCon Games, if you search RingCon Games, their site has a bunch of game nights happening between now and the convention.
Yep.
The big one, I think, is Snakes and Lattes for board games.
Snakes and Lattes.
And then over at Tucson Games and Gadgets, there's a couple one-shots happening. I think I'm going to sign up for one of the Sunday ones if I don't have a game going that Sunday.
Okay.
There's a RPG called Mothership that I have not played.
I can't say that I'm familiar with that one.
Yeah, and if you want to learn new RPGs, best way to do it is play with people who know how to do it. And I do believe the person writing it has actually published an adventure for Mothership.
Ah.
Yeah, and that's always good. It's like a mini Conde.
Cool.
Alrighty, guys. Thank you for listening, and have a great week full of RPGs, gaming, and fun, and friends. And if you can't have one of those, have all of those. Or, I think reverse. If you can't have all of them, at least have one of those. And remember, there's always the substitute of online RPGs.
Woohoo!
Or as we used to say back in the day, there's always Magic the Gathering. That's crack for gamers. Alrighty, guys. Have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you for listening to D&D Journey of the 5th Edition, a member of the Creative Play and Podcast Network. Please follow us on Patreon at patreon.com/CPPN to never miss a show or stream.
Hello?
Oh my God, you're here.
Oh my God, who's this?
Oh my God, this is Jim. Who is this?
Why, this is Kelly.
Oh, well, Kelly, since I got you on the phone, how about we do RPGaDay 2022?
Why not? Sounds like a plan.
Alrighty, let's go. Hey guys, Jim here.
And Kelly.
It is day 7 of RPGaDay 2022.